4 in 10 people believe in ghosts. Over a third of people believe intelligent life exists outside of Earth. 43% of people believe demons exist. There are unexplained phenomena happening daily around the globe, and we are here to talk about it. Your portal into UFOs, paranormal, cryptids, the supernatural, the mysterious, the unknown. I see you. This is Beyond the Radar, and this is your host, humanoid Tom Conway.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another wonderful episode of Beyond the Radar, your paranormal news program. I'm your host, Tom Conway, and we're about to embark on a journey into the uncharted, unexplored, and the unexpected. Thank you so much for tuning in to wherever you're listening or watching from. You can view us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, or Rumble. You can also listen to this on our Oracle Talk Radio Network app as well. That connects you directly to our radio station. And for archives of our past shows, search the Oracle Talk Radio Network on your favorite podcasting platform, or become a member on Spreaker or Patreon and get access to unheard of episodes, past episodes, and bonus content. And, we have a wonderful show for you tonight. I have a wonderful guest. All of you know about my paranormal investigation stories from here in Philadelphia. And it's always wonderful when I link up with another paranormal investigator because, they've seen and done all of the fun, crazy, what have you stuff that, we all embark on. We all do with a passion for it, the passion for finding out, mysteries and not just taking things as they are and actually going out and researching. So I'm very grateful that Jill reached out to us, and I wanted to get her on. I want to get her on all of the network's shows, but for now she's going to be on this one today, and also in a couple weeks for Chasing Prophecy with myself and Jenny. So that's going to be very exciting. I'll get to her intro here in a little bit. I just wanted to shout out everybody who's been downloading our episodes. We've noticed an uptick pretty much since Christmas of people downloading, listening to this, Chasing Prophecy, the Oracle Talk, all of the Oracle Talk Radio Network podcasts. So I just wanted to give a shout out and thank you so much for all the support and listening to us and really supporting us. Because you know what, more so than anything, it's, you guys listen to the content we have. We always have a wonderful Thursday night group, and we have a very fun Friday night group, great questions and everything. So just, thank you guys. You really, really make the heart happy when you reach out and you support that. One thing I wanted to get into next week, we have a couple of fun shows next week on the network. Nerd Informer, as you guys know, Ian and Tyler, wonderful guys. They do Wednesday nights at 7 o'clock here on the 7 o'clock Eastern on the Oracle Talk Radio Network. We're going to have a special Star Trek themed episode where we look at all of the tech that Star Trek had back in the 70s and see what has come true of that now in the future. So we're going to have a tech focus-based podcast about that. And next Friday at my show, right here at 9 o'clock, we're going to have a paranormal State of the Union. As you know, we've just had a presidential change. So usually in the beginning or the end of January, there's a State of the Union. We're going to have a paranormal State of the Union. Open show. People can hop in the chat. People can just tell us, let's give a state of where you're at with certain things in the paranormal. Do I like this particular method of hunting ghosts more than others? Do I believe these are Project Bluebeam or actually UFO drones in the sky? What about AI? There's a growing theory that AI can be classified as a paranormal realm too, because of some of the rumors of how we got that technology. So it's going to be a fun episode. Ian and Tyler are joining myself as well. Open link. Jenny might pop in. Other hosts that I've met across the way, they might hop on. They might talk. They might stop in, and we'll just hang out on a Friday night. So that's next week. And without further ado, I want to get to our guest, Jill Shelly. So I have a little video that I will play here in a minute, but let me just give you a brief introduction. My guest tonight is Jill Shelly, owner of the haunted Boyd House in Southwest Minnesota and a Masonic Lodge in Illinois. With 12 years experience as a paranormal investigator, Jill and her team, St. Croix Paranormal, has explored well-known haunted locations across the United States. They were featured in biography channels My Ghost Story for capturing an apparition on film. That's amazing. I love that. Jill also produced their own local cable show that ran in Minnesota and is on YouTube. It is through their travels that she got the idea of purchasing her own location, allowing others in to investigate. In 2019, Jill fulfilled her dream of owning a haunted location built in 1901, which restored to its Victorian-era charm. They've recorded shadows, apparitions, and other paranormal activities there. And more recently, she opened an 1861 Masonic Lodge in Illinois, which is already receiving great feedback. So that's a little about the guest, and here's the video on the Boyd House.
There's just this vibe about that house, this sense of, if this house isn't haunted, no house is haunted.
Minnesota, land of 10,000 lakes, hot summer days, beautiful fall leaves, and brutally cold winters. The small town of Boyd is a remote town surrounded by farm fields. This once prosperous town currently has a population of 175 people and a handful of businesses left in town. Much on the edge of town there is a house where the ghost of the dear departed may be watching you. Perhaps you may see a man gardening in the backyard, and he disappears as he approaches the house. Set your foot inside and you may catch a glimpse of the shadows whispering by, or hear the unnerving sounds of footsteps. If you listen closely, you can hear the sound of children laughing, singing, playing, and even the piano will play a note or two from time to time. Why is this house inhabited by disembodied spirits? Could it be the energy from the railroad or from the land long ago? Is the house more prone to connection that a spirit portal has emerged? Or could it be the loving family that once occupied these walls? Try to perceive.
Is Oliver the little boy that lives here? Does he have a name for the horse?
There was a couple things that did happen in the kids' room. There was also this potential poltergeist sort of like activity that happened. I unfortunately did not get this on camera though. When I was in there, there was these noises being made. I tried opening up that closet door. I finally was able to get it opened. I just happened to look down, and I was stunned. I was stunned. So I'm looking down. That little rocking chair that was in the closet with the little doll in it, so it was rocking back and forth. I grabbed whatever I had near his room and I brought it over to the children's room. And I just set everything up back in there. When I come into that room, that doll is sitting perfectly fine. I'm walking in front of it. I'm walking alongside of it. I throw a ball at it. And this thing didn't even flinch.
A different doll. Not that one. That's creepy one. That's even creepier, but we're gonna use it. Can you make that doll move right there? Can you push it over? Who's coming up the stairs?
And things like that. And we kept getting, good responses with a lot of the equipment that we had. The REM pod was just almost continuously going off. I mean, it was going off almost nonstop. And then if it did stop,
All right. If that doesn't get you in the mood, I don't know what else will. So without further ado, here is our guest, Jill Shelly. Jill, thank you so much, and welcome to Beyond the Radar here on the Oracle Talk Radio Network. How are you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me, Tom. I'm excited to be here.
Oh, I'm excited to have you. Excited to get into everything. Joe checking in. Good to see you, Joe. Great to see you. Hopefully you have off tomorrow. Worked a long day, I'm sure. But Jill, that video was phenomenal. Some of the stuff that was on there, and I watched to make that clips, I watched the whole thing of it, and wow, like there is no lack of activity in that house.
Yeah, and it just keeps getting better. So the stuff that you were watching, that's when we first opened. So that was back in pretty much 2018, maybe a little bit of 2019. But since then, things have just gone a lot more crazy. So, yeah, a lot more voices, interactions, shadows, people being touched, objects being moved. It's gotten busier.
That's wonderful. And first off, I guess, in case I didn't touch on anything, please introduce, yourself, the Boyd House, if I missed anything, or you want to St. Croix Paranormal.
Yeah, so I started out back in I've always been interested in ghosts and had a few experiences when I was younger. But when I was at work, one of these guys and I were talking, and he was into paranormal. And then he's like, yeah, I've been kind of starting to do investigations. And I was like, oh, wow, that's cool. So we started working together, and then we formed our team, St. Croix Paranormal. And then we ended up having several other people join us. People have come and go, but it's now pretty much the same 4 core people. And we just started traveling all over the U.S. to well-known haunted locations, getting different experiences, learning a lot. We started out with like one voice recorder and a camcorder and a K2 meter. And we thought, ooh, we got some stuff, right? But now, gosh, we own everything.
There's something to be said there, Jill, too, about like the evolution of tech as a paranormal investigator and where you start out at and then what you work yourself up to. It's just fascinating. I mean, I've been with people who look, let me put it this way. It doesn't have to be an expensive hobby. It does not. You know what I mean? It does not have to be. I've seen people with the $5 Amazon voice recorders pick up an EVP.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You don't have to go grab a spirit box and spend all kinds of money calibrating and all of that. In Free Spirit Paranormal Society, the leader, he's a master with dowsing rods. You know what I mean? You don't need that much money to pick up and just start.
No, and we use a lot of stuff that isn't made for ghost hunting. So if you get things that are like we go to like Goodwill and things like that, look for things that need to be touched to be turned on. Those kinds of kids' toys, just because it doesn't have to be that, and we find they still touch those things.
They do. I gotta say, one of the stories that I had from one of mine is, I mean, stop me if you heard it before, because I'm sure a lot of investigators have, but you get the toy that's quote unquote broken, that doesn't have a battery in it, but does have a sound modulator or something, and it goes off. And there's no possible way for that to go off. I've seen that happen 2 or 3 times, and you know what? Every time it's just as startling, right? I don't think I'll ever get used to that.
Yeah, we have one of those. Somebody had brought. People bring gifts for that. There's children at the Boyd House, and so a lot of people bring gifts. So there's somebody had left one of those bears, and he's got like 3 things on, or 4 things on his belly. So each thing is something different. I personally haven't heard of, but go off, but I know 2 different times different investigators have caught that bear going off. So it's like completely in a different room. They're in a different room, and all of a sudden they hear, it doing a song or whatever it is, and then they go running in there and it's playing. So, and you have to touch the bear. Like you can't, like we've even done like jump around the bear, stomp around the bear, clap, everything. Yeah. You have to touch the bear.
So there was some physical contact. That's the only way, you can put it in this 3D realm. Like it has to physically touch it. And, hey, Nicole, good to see you. Good to see you, Nicole, another one of our hosts here, Mystic Whispers podcast. So, yeah, we've all seen those things where you have to touch it. You have to physically touch it. And just like, a good debunker did, you went around, you jumped around, you probably moved your hands all around, doing this and all of that. It just didn't go off. So, for a fact it has to be touched. And I love the approach that you took with that, and something that I people have heard me, stand on my soapbox about this is, as paranormal investigators, we have to be that debunk. We have to be more skeptical than the skeptics out there, because when you deal with something that what we deal with, where there already isn't a lot of credibility, if you just throw a blanket on everything's a ghost, you're going to lose what little credibility you have.
Yeah, I think I kind of drive my teammates crazy because they're like, "Oh, look at this going off," and I'm like, "Okay, well, are you sure? Does anybody have their phone?" Like, I'll just start rambling things, and it's like they're like, "Oh," they're like, "A ghost could come up and kiss you in the face, and you'd make some excuse for it." They say.
Yeah. No, you're exactly right. There is, especially with like these things in our pocket, that there is interference that can come with that. If you don't, and you have a K2 meter, just have your phone on regular, move it near it, and then put it on airplane mode. Do it again. You'll have 2 completely different. One will be a reading, one won't, and that's the same. It just shows you, one, that it works. You see what can be picked up. But when you put your phone into airplane mode, can you see a difference on your phone? No. Other than the icon, you don't know. You know what I mean? But there is energy out there that can be manipulated. And, when we have new people that come around or join, or we do like a library show or something, little demonstration for people in the town, that's one of the things we show them. You know what I mean? Because that's a good 3-dimensional, in this realm, something they can see. You know what I mean? Of how it is. So definitely fun and interesting stuff. And before I get too off tangent with the tech and all of that, I want to ask you about the Boyd House. How did you owning it come to be?
Well, like we had kind of mentioned that I was looking for a place to buy and let other people investigate, and also for me to do kind of the research, because when you go to these haunted locations, you're only there for 6 hours, 8 hours, maybe 10. That's all the time you have to make contact. So I thought, what better way? You have your own place, you get to know the spirits and stuff. But just nobody advertised, "Hey, my house is haunted, so buy it." I just kind of I feel like, I'm not psychic or anything, but I do have a really good intuition and a really good feel about things, and I kind of know when things are there. Okay. So my realtor knew what I was doing, what I wanted it for. So we looked at other places and such. And, but when I came across the Boyd House, because I was just doing all the research, she was just setting up the things. When I found it on the listing, I was like, this is it. This is the house. I kind of knew before I got there. And then me and one of my teammates went to go look at it. She was running late, so we were just hanging out outside. And I just kind of casually mentioned, like, you kind of feel like something's looking at you. She's like, yeah, definitely, from the attic window. But then when we finally got in there, you could feel something was there, but it was very standoffish. Like it was just kind of in the background. Like it wasn't sure. Nobody had been in the house for about a year. So, and nobody had really communicated with the spirits before either in the house. But we ran a spirit box. We did get a woman that said, "Who are you?" Which makes sense because, we're strangers. Did get a few other things. We did put a REM pod up in what's now the library, and that went off in about 8 minutes. So that was pretty good. And then I just kind of had some feels that there was a spirit there. So I just kind of checked with a medium that I really trusted. She told me a bunch of stuff about the house. I gave her no information whatsoever, pretty much everything she told me came true. And then I also reached out to previous owners, and some of them were reluctant, but they came forward and said, yes, we did have some paranormal activity in the house. One of the kids growing up as a kid, she grew up there, but even as teenagers went on, she would see figures all the time of a man. And everybody thought she was crazy and making it up, but she really had a lot of interaction. I think she was the more sensitive one of the family. And she had actually never seen a picture of Mr. Fred Eckhart, who was one of the previous owners of the home, and he passed away in the home. We've had different instances, EVPs, things that saying, I'm Fred, Fred's here. So we know that Fred still exists in this home. We showed her a picture of Fred, and she freaked out. She said that was the man that she's been seeing.
Wow.
When she grew up in the house. So that was really good confirmation. So yeah, there's quite a bit of history. People have come forward that, had maybe spent the night there when they were growing up, that they're like, something grabbed my leg or pulled my blanket, or so there is a history of that going on. And we're just the first people that actually reached out and wanted to talk to them and engage and stuff. And it, interesting, like you say, you go to these places and they've been investigated so many times. Like the spirits know what a REM pod is. You don't have to explain it anymore. Like they understand how the equipment works. They just figure it out. Or if you're like me, I tell them how it works. But when I was at the Boyd House, we weren't getting a lot of equipment interaction, and I just kind of spent a lot of time with them talking, explaining why I had the house, what we were going to do,
Mm-hmm.
And then I was kind of getting frustrated because I was kind of like, I don't know, is this even really haunted? So it's like, so then there was one night I was sitting in the kids' room, and I had a little REM bear, and I was just kind of talking. I'm like, hey, look, people will buy you gifts and bring you toys and stuff, and I'll do the same thing. But you gotta let me know that you're here. So you got to touch this bear. And so then I had left the camera on the bear. And then that thing, after I left, maybe about an hour after I left, it was going on and off for about 4 hours.
Oh, wow.
And then after that, everything just kind of took off. So now it's like they've learned what things are. They understand it. And if people bring in stuff that's never been used before, they go crazy over it.
Oh.
So the first group that I ever saw bring in a music box, it went nuts that night, and now they really like the music box. But yeah, anything new, they love it. They absolutely love it. I'll bring them. I'm weird. I shop for the dead. So,
Yeah.
So when we're at the antique stores and stuff, I'm like, oh my God, Fred and Minnie would love that. Or the kids would love this. And so when I bring it, I usually put something by it. So for instance, we found out that Fred was a big fisherman. He loved to fish. And so we found like a little statue of fish. And then we found a little card with a fish on it. And then I gave him just an antique, just the part of the fishing reel. And then I put it all up on the piano, and we put a REM pod there. And I just kind of talked to him. And I said, if you like this, ring this bell so we know that you enjoy this. And then it was about an hour to 2 hours later, we were eating dinner in the kitchen. All of a sudden we heard that REM pod hitting in the piano room. So, and that was actually their bedroom and the room he passed away in. So yeah, I was pretty excited, and I just get out there and I talk to him. I'm like, Fred, you liked it.
One amazing story. You could spend your money a lot worse ways. Think of it that way. And two, that would get me as a spirit if you were, promising gifts and things like that. Like, oh, I just have to show. Okay, great. Yeah, people will buy me stuff. Wonderful. So definitely, it definitely worked. I guess Nicole missed it, but she asked, is more than one spirit there? And you said yes, there were multiple.
Yeah, we for sure have Fred there. We're not sure if Minnie's there. There is a lady, she talks like this. She's got a really raspy voice, but she'll never tell me what her name is. We have the children that are there, and then we just have a gamut of spirits. Like, I don't know where they came from. They do not correlate to anything as far as my deed, no name tied or anything.
Okay.
Not sure where they've all come from, but then we've also, since I've purchased the home, we redid it back to the 1900s. So we brought a ton of antiques in. So there could be some possible attachments there. And of course, we had to buy the so-called haunted dolls. So we have those, and we have a really creepy actual haunted cursed object, I guess you could say. It's this really weird painting of a monkey, and he's like sitting, everything's like blue, kind of dark blue, but he's sitting on some red chairs, but there's a tree, but yet it's inside of a house, but three-dimensional because you can see in the yard. It is just the weirdest painting. And then around the edge, like you'd have to like take it down and like spin it. There's a story written about monkeys on the side of it. And actually, when we took it and my friend started reading it and turning it, I'm like, are you sure we're not opening a portal?
Yeah, that's the first thing that came to my mind is with all that it's dimensional spatial stuff going on in that painting. I was like, maybe that's where your spirits are coming through.
Yeah.
But-
How we acquired it is a lady found it on the side of the road with her husband, and coincidentally sitting on a pile of red chairs next to a tree, just like in the painting, but they never took. But they never took the chairs. She and her husband always regretted it. But she never liked the painting because she always felt like something bad was with it, and it was always staring at her. She felt like, and she would never read the side of the story for summoning a demon. She was scared of that. But her husband became extremely obsessed with this painting, and he would not stop staring at it. He had it out in the garage. He actually had committed suicide in front of this painting. So she didn't want anything to do with it. So that is how we acquired the painting. The first day that we actually had it, we were running a spirit box, and we're like, hey, what do you think of that painting? And it said monkey, evil, get rid of it. That was right on the spirit box. So we kind of banned it to that room. We said it can't leave the room, so it has to stay in that room. But yeah, it tries to get out, but we tell it can't. So
yeah, I mean, that's a quality Class A EVP. And for anybody who, and to recap here, this is Jill Shelly, owner of the Boyd House in Minnesota, also paranormal investigator, part of St. Croix Paranormal. But on your website, there is a video, right? And then on your YouTube, you have a documentary of the house as well. And in that documentary, I lost count of how many quality Class A or B EVPs that you guys picked up there. I mean, you have shows going on for numbers of years that don't accumulate that sort of quality evidence, but you all have it in that house. Is there, in terms of the activity and when it's more active, do you find it seasonal or is it pretty constant?
It goes in, whichever day, whatever mode they feel like being in. I've been there some days where it's like super hot and some days when it's crickets. So, I mean, it's just like in any location that you go on. So it depends on the spirit energy level that they have. Do they even want to talk to you? I think it's whatever the team and the people bring there, on whether they choose to, if they want to interact or not interact. Because I have people that say, "Oh my God, it was off the charts," and other people say it's pretty quiet. So but that's what you get everywhere. But as far as like the time of day or anything, it really varies. For me personally, it seems to be like kind of like right when I get there and then right before supper, then it kind of dies down and then it picks up a little bit and then it kind of dies down again. And then really early in the morning, it fires back up. So it kind of goes in like these peak waves or something for me. Cause I've audibly heard voices in that house. I've heard footsteps. I've seen doors open. I mean, I've been touched. It's just, I've never actually seen. My husband saw an apparition, which I'm jealous because after all my years of investigating, I've seen shadow figures, but I've never seen a full-blown apparition. And he's not even a ghost person. Like he believes in ghosts, but he doesn't ghost hunt, with me unless he has to. So it's not his thing, but he's there to support me. And he was just coming in. This was not too long after we bought it, but he was coming in the front door carrying a bunch of stuff. He looked up at the top of the stairs. He said there was a woman standing there with about my length and color of hair, but she was in white. And then he looked away and then looked right back and she was gone. Because he goes, for a split second, I thought it was you. And that's why I looked and then he said, I didn't think you were upstairs. So yeah, he got to see the full apparition. I know other people have at Boyd has seen it. They're the lucky ones, I guess.
Yeah. That's how it goes. The the people who could take it or leave it, they get the best stuff, right? We got a question here from Nicole, and this is a good question because others might be thinking the same thing. But how can you tell the spirits not to follow you home?
Well, I usually just say it.
Okay.
We do that at other investigations too. We just, basically say you can't stay here. We've enjoyed our time with you. And then we're like, in the name of the Father, the Son, and we just kind of do a little prayer. And, we hope that it works. I mean, I've never had anything follow me home that I'm aware of that made themselves noticeable. Now, a couple of my teammates did, and they forgot to say to stay. So, so I think that, they sent them back on their way. But yeah, they had stuff like, I know Alex, he, right after we went to, I believe it was Malvern Manor in Iowa, he came home and he lives in an apartment. He's lived there for 6 years. He's never had a problem, nothing paranormal. And all of a sudden, his faucets in the bathroom are turning on, running, the lights are turning off, the dog is growling, just barking for no reason. This is all new right after he came. So he kind of did some sage and things, and then everything calmed down. But
yeah, we gotta do every effort we can to keep them there. You know what I mean? We have fun playing with you, but we're not playthings outside, of here. And Nicole, she had a spirit follow her from a former work. Even she's an empath as well, communicator. So they just like to flock to Nicole. It seems like.
Oh yeah, it brings the energy in.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess you should buy your sage at like Costco in bulk then. If it's once a month. I haven't heard of that frequent at all. But let's talk about the spirits inside the house. You talked about, we've broached the subject of all of the different types of activity that have happened, right? The touchings, even the apparition, EVPs, etc. Have you felt, or has anyone who's been there, another medium or psychic or something, have they felt like a struggle in the house, or the spirit's pretty, benign?
Well, I think everybody's pretty friendly at the house. Of course, we got crabby people,
Yeah, yeah.
George in the basement. Me and him have butted heads a lot, but we've come to terms now. But there was just a room in the back basement that I never really felt comfortable in. I didn't like being in there. I always felt like I got to get out of here. Like I can't be in here. And never mentioned it to my teammates. So with the first time they came down with me after I purchased it, they all had the same feeling too. And I never said anything about it. I just wanted to see what their reaction was. And like Teresa she's our most sensitive person. And she was pacing back and forth. I'm like, are you okay? And she's like, I don't like this room. I don't like this room. So, but then, through all of our investigating and time, we learned his name is George. We don't really know why George is there. He wanted me to paint the room red, but I didn't. And I put up fake brick wallpaper, and he was mad about that. I tear it down, but we've now come to terms that it's okay. But he wanted everything. So George. Yeah, he's got his red chair, he's got his pipe, he's got his slippers, he's got his whiskey, so these are all things he asked for that we brought. So I think we had a peace offering with George, but
what more do you need?
He swears a lot. You will get EVPs in there because he's fine with me now, but he doesn't like anybody in his room really. But yeah, he makes you feel very unwanted, and you will get swear words of getting out in his room. So, and he'll come out of that room too. He'll come into the main part of the basement as well. But for the most part, yeah, everybody's friendly. Like I said, you might get a little crabby guy here or there. They really do like to interact. They're actually watching. We get EVPs in correspondence to actually what we're doing, so they're paying attention to what's going on. They love to play cards. So we have a whole cards and poker chips and all that stuff set up downstairs. We also found out that Minnie loved to play cards and gamble. So
wow,
we're pretty sure it's her. But I saw another team do it, and so I thought, oh my God, this is a really cool idea. So they took a K2 meter down there, and they're playing blackjack with the K2 meter, using that as a hit or not.
Oh.
I will tell you, they are good. They are really good. And so
they knew the rules and they, okay.
honestly,
Wow.
I think that at one time I was doing it as well. And I had the spirit box running because I wanted to see if they would communicate that way. And I remember what the hand was, but I'm like, okay, do you want to stay? Do you want to split? Do you want to hit? Like, what do you want? And then on spirit box, plain as day, it says, we'll stay.
Oh man, that is phenomenal. That is an amazing, amazing
They love
story.
it. Yeah, my favorite story too is that there was another night I was playing cards with them, just having fun. And I had taken a card and I pushed it to the edge of the table. Now it wasn't hanging off the table whatsoever. It's just so I could see if it moved, like it lined up to the edge of the table.
Okay.
All night I said, if you're having fun, just throw that off. Like, just let me know that we had a great time because I've really enjoyed my time. And then, I said it again before I went to bed at midnight. And 30 minutes after I left that room, that card went right off the table. So yeah, they really listen. I was super excited when I came downstairs and saw it laying on the floor. I was like, oh my God, this is so great.
I mean, they're following directions. They're interacting with you. They're highly, highly intelligent, especially with the complexities of playing a game and knowing strategy with it. You just don't get that in any other paranormal situation, or very rarely, I should say. God, that's so amazing. It's like, it's beautiful to hear that they're having a good time.
Yeah. And again, I think it's because I have that rapport with them. I'm there, talking to them and doing stuff. And, even if I'm just there cleaning the house, I'll usually have a voice recorder with me and I'll just talk, it's not even, I don't even make them do stuff, or I wouldn't say you make them, but I don't ask them to, touch this or touch that. It's just more as how I'm having a conversation with you. I remember one time I had the voice recorder, I was cleaning and I just kept talking and talking. And I was like, oh, I'm going to a wedding. You guys ever been to a wedding? I really like weddings. And I just was talk. And because I did that, I kind of overtalked the EVP, but you got a woman saying something, which I couldn't make because I was talking. But then she said, I'm trying to sleep. So it's like, so I was like, here's this poor lady trying to take a nap in midday and I'm just in there chit-chatting.
Oh, poor woman just wanted to take a nap. That's amazing. I want to come back to that, but Nicole popped another question in. So out of the spirits that there, you did briefly touch on some that lived in the house and others. Did you find any that are tied to the land itself?
And it could be possible. They didn't take really good care of records back in the day. So our land actually, it goes back to 1889, and the entire land was owned by the Minneapolis-St. Louis Railroad. And then some guy bought it, kind of split it off in subdivisions, and then that's kind of how everything started. So there could be a lot of, we don't know what happened on that land prior to that. Was it a farm and some people died on that land? We don't know. The town is actually butted up against the Sioux Dakota reservation line back in the day. So there could have been a lot of things that happened in that time period as well that they're, not reporting.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing with historical records too, is like, it ultimately comes back to us of how well we kept it, and some places just they did it better than others, and so when you're in an area where you don't have that much, it does stink, but it sounds like you have a good mix at the house right now, and that's what I wanted to get back to is your relationship and how you just were mentioning. I'll go and I'll clean and I'll have a conversation just like you and I are having a conversation with them. Do they, they pretty much see you as one of the residents of that house by now, right?
Oh, I don't know. They called me the caretaker a couple times. So.
Oh.
Or the painter. They called me a painter once too, because we were painting and the spirit box later said, are you the painters? And I'm like, really? This is all we are to you.
Oh man. Okay, so but they recognize that you're, caretaking of that house.
They definitely know who I am. That we've gotten for instance, when we first bought the house, I was the only one coming there. So one of the first few groups that had come through, they got an EVP like pretty much a few minutes after they walked in the door that said, "Where's Jill?" Like that was right when we opened. So they didn't understand. Like, I mean, I told them people were going to come visit. They got it down now, obviously, but that they were kind of probably a little bit confused because
they thought you were going to be with them.
Yeah, they thought I was going to be with them or whatever. We'll get that on different apps and Spirit Box and things. Like we'll just get my name said. So yeah, they definitely know. They'll ask for my husband too. They'll be like, "Where's Justin?" If he's not with me, and I'm like, "Well, he's at home today."
Yeah.
So they
gotta
know us.
see if you can get an EVP or a recording of them talking smack for not showing up and helping you. Let's. Here, another question from Nicole. Do you know of any children? The children spirits that you were mentioning?
Oh yeah, we have kids. So we did have 2 children pass away in the home, one in infancy and one when he was about 2. He choked to death in the house. But I don't think that those particular children are there. I don't know why these children are here. I really don't. I've been told by mediums they just like the house and that's why they hang out. So I feel like they're more like 8 and 11. That's just the feel I got of a male and a female child. I've gotten many EVPs of children, different names and things like that. I haven't heard of Michael.
No, Michael? Okay.
Yeah, nothing that I'm thinking of at the moment. But yeah, I mean, I don't know where these kids have come from, but they're there. They play, they laugh, they sing. I've gotten, like I said, voice recorders, Spirit Box. People hear the pitter patter, the laughter of children. I've heard a little kid's voice audibly in the room before. So yeah, they're there. Now why? I don't know. But they don't tell us, but we try to make them happy. They got a lot of toys. They got more toys than I ever had. So it's like
right. Yeah, no, so I find it fascinating that you can only, connect so many to the actual house. And then I don't want to say transient in a bad way, but like you pick up other spirits, you know what I mean? As they come through at the house. If you had to, venture a guess, and I know you said the children, they just like the house. Do you think that's true for all of the spirits that settle there?
I don't know. I think, like I said, with doing what we do as paranormal investigators, you are creating some sort of energy. I'm also not there to see how everybody investigates. So there is no, maybe somebody played with the Ouija board. Maybe somebody opened a portal. I don't know. I mean, it seems from the house and from what I've witnessed and feel, I believe something has been opened. But they flock to the house. I know that they don't all stay. I think some just come and go for whatever reason,
Mm-hmm.
They take a lot of times, with the energy when they're talking like limestone or the energy off the railroad tracks, those tracks lie directly behind the house. So there, I mean, a little bit with that as well. I've had communication with spirits and I'm like, do you live here? And they're like, no, I'm just passing through. So,
I'd be like, what do you mean by that?
So yeah, I think somewhere there's some sort of, maybe some sort of connection of, some of the things we've learned is that they just kind of travel along, and they make stops, throughout their journey of being a spirit for those ones that can go if they, if they're allowed to travel, because we know some can't travel as well. And I personally don't know why. Maybe somebody else has another theory why they can and can't, but yeah, I just think they just they like energy of the house as well. And weirdly enough, like Fred kind of came forward and he says he kind of likes helping these people that come through. So it probably gives them something to do. I mean, if you're here for an eternity, you got to find something to do, I suppose.
It's very true. And I guess if I could venture a guess on the traveling portion of it, I've had other individuals on the show who put forth different ideas, such as depending on what your vibration was in the third realm, this realm, when you pass over, if you were a higher vibrational, you would have certain advantages versus someone who was lower vibrational, where certain people can, spirits can get in cars and travel with you. You know what I mean? And others, are destined to walk type of thing. And so, just reiterating that, I certainly don't know, but it's just an idea that was put out there, by others that have been on this show. But the railroad tracks, I would have to think, have something to do with it. That's a symbol that you can look at of commuting, right? That is a symbol that is known everywhere. A railroad track on a sign, everybody's going to know that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That has to be, maybe the Boyd House is a paranormal stop on that rail line.
Right. I have noticed, like, whenever it seems like not wherever, but I would say majority of places we've been to, there is a railroad track pretty darn close, if it not right there. So
yeah, next we should explore the haunted rail lines of America. So researching, and you should have seen me when I was researching for this, and coming across like almost one thing one up the other thing. The last thing that I saw, I got to tell you, if somebody comes to me and be like, take me to or send me to a haunted house, I want to see a ghost, I'm gonna have to send them your way. You know what I mean? What was that?
We'd love to have them.
Yeah, because I mean, there's so many different things, and not just by one group. How many paranormal investigatory groups have been around Boyd?
Well, we've started out slow, but it's become more and more popular. Word of mouth and videos and things like that, and we promoting. Last year I had 110 rentals for 2024. And then so the year before that we were pretty close. So we're probably averaging about 100 people a year, 100 groups. I would say 100 groups. I don't know how many people they bring with them, but I would say about 100 groups a year.
That's fascinating. And you're right, because you got the YouTube, you see on Instagram, there's Boyd House on TikTok too, from these paranormal groups.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody seems to get something. Some might get more than others, but everybody seems to get something, and it's just fascinating. So I'd have to, if anybody ever comes out, because this has happened before, where people say, I don't know if I believe in it, but I'm open to it. What can you hook me up with somebody? I'm going to send them your way, because
perfect. Yeah. It's a great place, I think, for people to go, because like you said, it's big enough size. We're 2,100 square feet, but we're not overly sized. I make it nice and comfortable. We're open year round because we have heat, we have window airs, that kind of thing. We have, microwave and pizza maker and such. So it's like being in a home. But yeah, it takes you a step back in time, because like I said, everything is back to the 1900s, including the furniture and such like that. So it's just a really nice ambiance. It just gives you a little bit different feel. So.
Yeah, and this is again, letting people know, Boyd House is an Airbnb. People can book it, right?
Yeah, well, not quite an Airbnb, because you can't have cameras if you're Airbnb. So we're just like an overnight paranormal investigation. We kind of cater to that, but we're open to anybody who wants to rent it, because we actually have a little corner of it's mostly stuff I don't use or I have extras of now, but we have like a little section for people to use, as far as we have some K2 meters, a spirit box, voice recorder, the spirit balls, just some real basic, the motion lights, just for people who aren't paranormal investigators, but they want to experience stuff, because as as an investigator, it's not like TV, it's not hopping all night long. So most people who would come be like twiddling their thumbs going, okay, there's nothing happening. And for all they know, there's a spirit standing in the corner. So at least they can engage and have some fun. So, and then for Nicole's question, we definitely allow more than one night stay. We don't make you leave. So we've had some people actually stay for 3 days straight. So when people come to the house, we allow them to come in at 3 p.m. and then you can stay till noon the next day. But if you are doing another night, then you just leave at noon the following day that you're scheduled to. So, and again, that, for me being an investigator, time is a big thing, because you get time to come in, you can kind of set up, you can eat dinner, you can investigate, you stay up late. Now you can sleep in a little bit, so you don't have to rush right out of there. So yeah, I like to have people that have enough time while they're in there.
That it's so wonderful and the 2,100 square foot. Yeah, that's a perfect size. Honestly, you can get your camera set up, you can get your table set up, you can get all of your feeds running, and your cords are going to be long enough if you want to really do it in depth. But again, yeah, you're not like having to walk a campground basically to get to everything. I just think that's phenomenal, and what you're doing out there is amazing, and I'm so happy that we connected. I'm so happy I know about the Boyd House, and I'm for sure I'm going to have to take a trip out there, bring a couple of people, and do my own investigation there, because this place is calling to me. It's not there's so much there. It's not the same thing. You understand? It's not just only EPPs. You know what I mean? You have activity out the wazoo. So,
and you just never know what you're going to get at any given day.
It's wonderful. So I want you now to take a minute or two, promote the house, promote everything, tell people where you're at, where they can find you, and the time's yours.
Yeah, so if you want to check us out, you can find us on Facebook under Boyd House. Otherwise, our website is boydhouse217.com. So it's got all the information there as far as like how to book and a little bit of history, things like that. We actually are doing a paranormal convention that I'm just putting together here down at the Boyd House on September 27th of 2025 this year. So we got a lot of really good people lined up. We got some psychics, other paranormal investigators, doing speakers. We're doing workshops. We got Heidi Steffen. She's a medium. She's going to actually be doing a seance. We have Ashley Brooks. She's another medium. She's going to be doing like a gallery reading. We got some other people teaching some ghost hunting. One of my team members is like a Estes Queen, so she's going to be doing an Estes session. So we have all kinds of stuff going on, vendors, everything. So yeah, we're just putting it together as of right now. So people I should be finishing everything up. This is a really huge undertaking for me. So hopefully this weekend, that information and the links to get the tickets and everything will be on the website at boydhouse217.com, hopefully by the end of this weekend.
Oh, excellent. I put your website in the chat. I put the date September 27th, 2025 for the Paranormal Boyd House Conference. And I'll let you know my birthday, September 26th. So,
well, there you go. So you should come out.
I'll come out. I'll come out with a sash and just ruin that old man's time. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding with that. I might partake in the whiskey and cigars with him though in that room.
There you go. Yeah, he does like a little bit of Johnny Cash or a little Frank Sinatra. He likes Frank quite a bit.
Oh, okay. All right. Old Blue Eyes. How about that? Well, we all could go for that every once in a while, but Jill, thank you so much. Thank you for being on here. Let's keep in touch.
Sure.
You can feel free to contact Nicole. You can go on her show as well. Get even more, publicity out there.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Yeah, all of our episodes like that we do here, I cut into short form. I put them, and I'll send you I guess I'll just send it to you on Facebook. So clips you can add to your TikTok and everything of this, wonderful interview and this wonderful session. But thank you so much for your time. This has been incredibly wonderful. I really do appreciate that. I'll see you in a couple weeks. And for everyone else out there, have a great night. Stay weird. And we'll see you next week on Beyond the Radar. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.